Welcome to the Cala Builders Podcast. Usually when we think about a gold mine, we picture like panning for nuggets in a mountain river, or maybe stumbling across some hidden treasure chest.
Right, something out of a movie.
Exactly. But what if I told you that you might literally be parking your car? Or, well, let's be honest, storing a small mountain of empty cardboard boxes on top of a gold mine right now.
Yeah, it is the ultimate hidden asset. And it's sitting right there, physically attached to your house.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking some incredible insights today from Cala Builders. They're a premier general contractor and design build firm based in Los Angeles.
Serving the whole county, really.
Right, places like Woodland Hills, Calabasas, Sherman Oaks, and Pasadena. And the mission today is to explore how you might be sitting on, hundreds of square feet of untapped potential. We're using this fascinating piece from their blog about recognizing when it's time to turn your garage into a living space.
And, while Cala Builders handles this massive scope of projects, everything from ground-up luxury new homes to complex hillside construction, even commercial restaurant builds.
It's huge in LA.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But today we are zeroing in on this specific transformation because it completely shifts how you view the real estate you already own. We tend to look at our property lines and think, well, our livable footprint is fixed. This flips that script entirely.
It really does. I got to say, I found myself evaluating my own home differently after going through these sources. Because the fundamental premise here is that for most of us, your garage has basically become a 400 square foot junk drawer.
A very expensive junk drawer.
Seriously. You open that big metal door and you're greeted by holiday decorations, a broken lawnmower, and that stationary bike that has basically evolved into a coat rack.
Yeah, the classic treadmill coat rack.
Right. So the source material asks this very pointed question. Ask yourself how often you actually park a car inside.
And for a huge percentage of homeowners, the answer is rarely or just never. The car is out in the driveway braving the elements anyway.
Yeah, mine definitely is.
The fascinating part of this is the spatial economics at play here. The garage is doing a job, it's holding objects.
But it isn't doing a useful job.
Exactly. Not financially or functionally. In a housing market like Los Angeles, where the cost per square foot is just at an absolute premium, letting 200 to 400 square feet act as a dusty, unconditioned storage unit is a massive inefficiency.
It's crazy when you put it like that.
You are essentially paying a mortgage on a warehouse for your old furniture.
Wow. But let me push back on the solution for a second. Because if I'm feeling squeezed in my house and I need more space, my first instinct is, to build an addition. Why wouldn't I just extend the back of the house into the yard?
That's the natural thought process. But building a brand new addition from scratch is a fundamentally different logistical and financial undertaking. To build an addition, first you have to trench the yard.
Which sounds like a nightmare.
It is. You pour a brand new concrete foundation, frame entirely new exterior walls, and build a new roof structure that has to tie seamlessly into your existing roof line. You're creating a building envelope from absolute zero.
Okay, I see.
With a garage conversion, the most expensive elements of that skeleton, the foundation slab, the framing, the roof, they already exist.
So you are basically bypassing the most disruptive and costly phases of construction.
Completely.
You are capturing space that is already under your roof.
Precisely. And there is another crucial factor for properties in dense urban areas, especially like LA. When you build a traditional addition, you're cannibalizing your outdoor space.
Oh, right. You're shrinking your yard.
Exactly. A garage conversion gives you heated, cooled, livable square footage without expanding your home's footprint by a single inch.
Which is huge if you don't have a lot of land to begin with.
Right. And buyers in today's market, they increasingly want homes with flexible, integrated spaces. A beautifully finished interior room adds significant value to a real estate listing. An oil-stained concrete box? Not so much.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
But that inevitably brings up the elephant in the room, which the Cala Builders FAQ addresses directly. What happens to the car? If I do this, I am officially losing my covered parking space.
Yeah, the garage itself does stop functioning as parking, which it requires a bit of a mindset shift.
For sure.
However, the practical workaround that most homeowners implement is actually remarkably simple. They just maximize their exterior footprint. So they might add a designated driveway parking pad, or they build a small, architecturally cohesive carport to protect the vehicle.
Okay, so you aren't just leaving it in the dirt.
Right. You are trading covered parking for actual human living space. When you run the numbers on the value of livable square footage versus the cost of a simple carport, the trade-off is highly lucrative.
I mean, moving from the financial math to the human application is where this gets really compelling for me. Because it's one thing to analyze square footage on a blueprint,
Yeah.
But it's entirely different to look at how this changes your daily routine.
Oh, the lifestyle impact is massive.
Yeah, and the work from home reality seems to be a huge driver for this trend. Like, working from the kitchen table is novel for about a week.
If that.
Right. After that, moving your laptop every time someone needs to chop vegetables or trying to take a Zoom call over the sound of the blender, it just becomes a fast track to burnout.
And that friction is exactly why the psychological benefit of a converted space is so critical. A garage is uniquely positioned because it is usually physically separated from the main living areas of the house, even if it's technically attached.
Right, like maybe there's a mudroom or just a solid firewall between them.
Exactly. It offers a level of acoustic privacy that a spare bedroom right next to the living room simply cannot provide. And more importantly, it offers a distinct threshold.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
The commute might only be 10 steps across a breezeway or down a hallway, but it acts as a defined boundary. Like you leave the house to go to work.
It creates a physical barrier that allows you to mentally clock out. Your workstation isn't just looming over your evening relaxation while you're trying to watch TV. And that exact same spatial logic applies to anyone needing a creative space too, like an art studio, a woodworking shop, a music room.
Because most floor plans do not account for a dedicated messy room.
No, not at all.
If you paint in the dining room, you have to clean up all your supplies before dinner.
No.
If you have a dedicated studio in the former garage, you literally just leave the canvas on the easel, walk out, and close the door. That alone sounds incredibly freeing.
It allows your hobbies to be permanent fixtures rather than temporary setups, which means you'll actually do them more. But beyond just solitary work or creative spaces, the family dynamic is another major catalyst here.
Oh, I bet.
Because households evolve, right? Children become teenagers, maybe aging parents move in. The traditional floor plan often forces all communal activity into a single living room.
Which leads to the classic struggle over the television remote.
Uh-huh.
Or, someone trying to study while someone else is playing video games at maximum volume.
Yeah, it's a recipe for endless low-level conflict.
For sure.
A secondary family room diffuses that tension entirely. It gives a multi-generational household some actual breathing room. The adults can entertain in the main living space while the teenagers have their own autonomous zone. And what the source material highlights brilliantly is that you don't even have to choose just one of these functions.
Right, the double duty concept. This was honestly one of the most practical takeaways from the text.
So smart.
If you have a two-car garage, you are dealing with a massive footprint. You can seamlessly combine these ideas. You could frame out a home office that also features like a built-in Murphy bed and a small sitting area.
Exactly. Suddenly you have a private workspace that instantly transitions into a comfortable suite when the in-laws visit. You're doubling the utility of the renovation without doubling your construction costs.
Okay, let's unpack this, though, because I do have a major hesitation here. And I'm guessing anyone listening who is picturing their own garage right now is thinking the exact same thing.
Let's hear it.
My garage is a concrete icebox. It smells like old motor oil and like fertilizer. The studs are exposed. There are cobwebs in the rafters. If I just move a desk and a rug out there, I'm still working in a dreary, disconnected shed. How do you actually overcome that fundamental lack of human comfort?
It's a really vital concern because garages were engineered to house heavy machinery, not people. They completely lack thermal regulation. The transformation requires a serious mechanical and architectural overhaul.
So it's not just a weekend DIY project.
Oh, absolutely not. You aren't just applying a fresh coat of paint. You are fundamentally altering the building envelope.
And the biggest culprit has to be the garage door itself, right?
Yeah.
It's basically a giant, uninsulated metal wall that leaks air constantly.
Yes. The removal of that door is the turning point of the entire project. When a professional team executes this, they actually frame in that massive opening and replace it with a properly insulated wall.
Oh, so it just looks like the rest of the house from the outside.
Exactly. And often this is where they introduce expansive, energy-efficient windows or even French doors. That simple architectural change instantly alters the acoustics, the thermal bridging, and just the overall visual character of the room.
Because you flood the space with natural light.
Right. It removes that cave aesthetic entirely.
But you still have the concrete slab and the exposed framing to deal with.
Right, which brings us to the internal mechanics. The walls and ceiling must be packed with high R-value insulation to prevent heat transfer, and the electrical panel usually needs to be upgraded to handle the new load.
Because you're adding computers, lighting, heating.
Yeah, and HVAC equipment. Because a garage isn't tied into your central heating and air, contractors frequently install a ductless mini-split system. They're incredibly efficient for single-room temperature control.
Okay, so once the drywall goes up and a proper subfloor and flooring are laid over the concrete, the sensory experience just completely shifts.
Totally. It feels identical to the rest of your house.
Assuming you can get the city to let you do it, though. I mean, the red tape associated with converting a structure usually sounds like an absolute nightmare.
It definitely has that reputation.
Dealing with permits, inspectors, and zoning boards is enough to scare most people away from remodeling entirely.
And historically, that fear was highly justified. However, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the current landscape, particularly across Los Angeles, is remarkably different today.
Really?
Yeah. The zoning laws have become significantly friendlier toward these specific conversions over the last few years.
I'm assuming this sudden friendliness from the zoning boards has to do with the housing crisis. Like California is just desperate for more livable units.
That is the exact catalyst. Municipalities recognize that they desperately need to increase housing density and livable square footage.
Yeah.
But massive new development projects face immense neighborhood pushback, and they take years to complete.
Right. NIMBism is a huge hurdle.
Exactly. So encouraging homeowners to convert existing underutilized structures on their own lots is an elegant, low-impact solution.
So the city actually wants you to do this.
They do. Now, that does not mean you can just bypass the building department.
Oh, of course not.
You are fundamentally changing the use of the space, altering electrical loads, adding insulation, all of which must be inspected for safety. But the bureaucratic barriers that used to make this process prohibitively slow and overly expensive have been systematically dismantled.
That's so encouraging.
The pathway to approval is clearer than it has been in decades.
Which brings us to the actual execution. Let's say you're completely sold. You want the home office, you want the multi-generational family room, and the city is on board. The Cala Builders blog lays out a really distinct timeline here.
Yeah, it's a great roadmap.
They break it down into structural check, design and permitting, insulation and electrical, and then finishing touches. But reading through this, I was struck by the absolute necessity of the structural check.
Oh, it's non-negotiable.
Why does everything hinge on that initial inspection? Like, why not start by just designing the fun layout?
Because the physics of a garage present unique challenges that can instantly derail a project if not identified early. A contractor must verify that the bones of the structure can legally and safely support human habitation. Let's look at a prime example: ceiling height.
Why does the ceiling height matter so much?
Well, building codes mandate a minimum ceiling height for a room to be considered legally habitable. Now, remember that cold concrete floor?
Yeah.
A garage slab is typically sloped toward the door so water can drain out.
Right. If you wash your car or something.
Exactly. So to make it a living space, contractors often have to build a leveled wooden subfloor on top of that concrete. And that instantly eats up several inches of vertical space from the bottom.
And then you have to add drywall and insulation to the ceiling, which eats up vertical space from the top.
Exactly. Suddenly, a ceiling that looked perfectly fine when the room was just storing boxes is now 3 inches too low to meet building code.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Furthermore, the contractor needs to inspect the foundation slab for severe cracking or structural settling. Skipping this forensic structural check is the single most common way. A seemingly simple renovation turns into a catastrophic financial sinkhole.
Because you do not want to purchase custom windows and premium flooring only to discover your foundation cannot bear the load of the new walls.
Precisely. You have to know the skeleton is solid before you start picking out paint colors.
Which highlights why trying to DIY a project of this magnitude or, hiring a cut-rate handyman is incredibly risky.
It's a huge gamble.
You need a synchronized team of professionals. And this is where the philosophy of Cala Builders really provides a masterclass in how construction should operate. They're not just a traditional general contractor. They operate on a design-build model.
And understanding the mechanics of the design-build model is crucial for anyone considering a major renovation.
Oh, so?
Well, in the traditional older model of construction, often called design-did-build, you hire an architect to draw the plans independently. Then you take those finished plans and bid them out to separate construction companies.
And if an architectural element turns out to be physically impossible to build or wildly over budget, the two sides just point fingers at each other.
Exactly. The builder blames the architect for an impractical design, and the architect blames the builder for poor execution.
And it creates this inherently adversarial relationship.
And the homeowner is stuck in the middle, paying for the delays. It's awful. But the design-build model operates more like a single, unified army. Architectural design, 3D rendering, engineering, permitting, and physical construction all happen under one roof.
So the designer and the builder are on the same team, communicating from day one.
Yes. It ensures that the design is actually buildable within your specific budget before a single hammer is swung.
And what makes the Cala Builders breakdown so compelling is that we get to see the actual structure of this unified team in the source material. It really illustrates the sheer number of specialized disciplines required to pull off a seamless conversion.
It takes an absolute village.
It does. You have the owner, Mehdi Ebadat, who holds a Class B general building contractor license and brings over 30 years of deep construction experience to the table. He sets the overarching standard for structural integrity.
But, having a great general contractor isn't enough if the daily logistics are chaotic.
Right.
That is where Shaheen Aterifai, the lead project manager, comes in. He basically operates as the central nervous system of the project, managing every phase from the initial bureaucratic maze of Los Angeles permitting all the way to the final punch list, ensuring the timeline doesn't slip.
And to prevent the space from feeling like, a retrofitted box, you have Argavan Ebadat, the senior lead designer. She's the one translating the homeowner's abstract needs like that double-duty office and guest room concept into precise 3D architectural plans.
Yeah, she ensures that form perfectly meets function, maximizing every square inch of that new layout.
And crucially, they also maintain specialized licensed trades in-house. When you are adding new subpanels, running complex wiring for home theaters, or trenching concrete to add a bathroom to a garage, you need absolute precision.
Exactly. Having Elia Ibadat, a licensed electrician, and Mehrdad Mogharibi, a licensed plumber and project manager, integrated directly into the team means there are no delays waiting for outside subcontractors to show up.
That's a game changer.
It really is. The MEP systems, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, are designed and installed in perfect synchronization with the framing and drywall.
It is a self-contained ecosystem of expertise. And, while our focus today has been intensely on unlocking the hidden potential of the garage, the mechanical and design principles this team utilizes apply to a much broader spectrum of construction.
Oh, absolutely. They bring this exact same level of unified execution to ground-up luxury custom homes, complex hillside retaining structures,
which are famously difficult in LA.
Notoriously difficult. Plus, high-end kitchen remodels, outdoor living spaces, and even commercial retail build-outs across the county.
The underlying philosophy remains the same, whether they are converting a 400-square-foot space or building a 4,000-square-foot estate. Mitigate the friction for the homeowner through complete in-house coordination.
That's the secret sauce.
So bringing all these threads together, the core realization here is really profound. If your garage is currently serving as an unconditioned warehouse for seasonal decorations and things you haven't touched in a decade, you are sitting on highly valuable, untapped square footage.
You really are.
That concrete box holds the potential for a dedicated, quiet home office, a vibrant creative studio, or an expansive family room that eases the tension of a growing household.
You can dramatically increase your livable space and your property value without sacrificing your backyard. And with the shifting zoning laws in California, the timing has quite literally never been better.
The opportunity is sitting right outside your kitchen door, waiting to be claimed.
Well said.
And Cala Builders has the exact structural blueprint, the design foresight, and the unified in-house team to navigate the red tape and execute the transformation beautifully. If you are looking at your garage right now and realizing it is time to reclaim that space, you can get a free consultation and a clear, actionable plan by contacting them directly.
Highly recommend it.
You can call Cala Builders at 233-855-7557 or explore their portfolio and process at calabuilders.com.
Before we close out this deep dive, there is a broader historical context to consider here, something for you to mull over as you evaluate your own home.
Oh, I like this.
Think about the evolution of the garage itself. For nearly a century, it was an architectural feature designed and built solely to house and protect a piece of machinery. It was a shelter dedicated entirely to metal, oil, and combustion.
Wow. That's true.
What does it say about our shifting modern priorities, our intense desire for human connection, flexible working environments, and creative autonomy, that we are now systematically reclaiming these industrial spaces for human life?
That is a phenomenal perspective. We are literally transitioning from sheltering our machines to sheltering our creativity and our families.
Exactly. Look at your property today, look at the structures you already maintain, and ask yourself a very simple question. What is the absolute highest and best use of this space for the way you live right now?
It truly is a gold mine. It just happens to be disguised as a dusty storage unit. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden potential of your home. Until next time, take a fresh look at your space, dream a little bigger, and we'll catch you on the next one.